I'd like to call to order the Charter Township of Oxford Planning Commission regular meeting scheduled Thursday, June 9th, 2016. It is 7 PM. Would you please rise and pay your respects to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Secretary, please note the roll.
Noted.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for the regular planning commission meeting of Oxford Township, Thursday, June 9th, 2016.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Curtis, supported by Mr. Young. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular planning commission meeting minutes of April 14th, 2016.
Support.
Been moved by Mr. Curtis, supported by Mr. Spiz. Is there any discussion of that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Public comments on items not scheduled for public hearing or on this agenda. CJ, nothing? Nothing? I know why you two guys are here. That's the rest of the public. Okay. Commissioners' comments. Start with Mr. Curtis.
The Village Planning Commission was just informed the master plan for the village is now updated. We're going to get the village council to start the public hearing for the 60-day window of comments. I don't know the forum in which the master plan can be reviewed, but I know Joe Young has a copy, and if anybody's interested, you can take a look at it.
Appreciate that, but you seemed to jump ahead to 11C4, didn't you? But that's okay.
Oh, well, I'm trying to hurry up.
That's what I thought. Mr. Young?
Done.
Okay. Mr. Berger?
I have none at this time.
Gosh, I had a good comment, too.
I just had to shut it down because it was so good. Mr. Spiz?
No comments.
Ms. Rosner?
I saw the email about the fence on the gravel pit, so I was kind of curious as to when that boils all down, what does that mean?
It is, if you, commissioners, this was going to be my comment, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay.
There's a letter in your packet from our township attorney, which I am going to paraphrase. Brian, help me out if I do this incorrectly. But any fence that has been up for any barbed wire fence, excuse me, that has been up for any number of years is now deemed, or from a prior owner to a transfer of property, is now deemed by our attorney as an existing non-conforming structure, and it can remain.
That is correct.
That's one point. The new point is if this new owner has put up any additional barbed wire, that it must be removed. Is that correct?
That is the typical non-conforming clause, yes.
Okay. So it's my understanding that Mr. Dunn is working with, is it Levy that owns that property now?
Yes.
Levy, that they are to remove that barbed wire fence, the new barbed wire fence.
Okay. I had a question when I read that, too, because I know we have a section in our ordinance that says that if you have a fence, it has to be maintained. And a lot of the sections of fence are not maintained, they're down on the ground and there's broken wires. So what about that component of the ordinance? And just general, not just specific to that property.
Any non-conforming use or structure would be allowed to be repaired, so as long as it's not expanded. There's general guidelines on just allowing repair and maintenance. So if it's damaged or it's down, it can be repaired and restored.
I believe in the letter, there was that exact excerpt in his letter, wasn't it? Did I not read that correctly?
It was my understanding for nonconformity that if over 50% of the value or there was a certain amount of it, or does that just apply to structures?
That's structures.
But if they're taking the stretch as calling, I don't want to call it a stretch, but if it's his opinion that it's an existing non-conforming structure, isn't that deemed as a structure? Or so is it still a value on just that fence, or is it a value on the entire piece of property? Or what the structures are on the property?
Yeah, I mean, he basically states that, you
There's a
know,
case-
that
he references
non-conforming
case law,
use
yeah.
being discontinued does not apply. So, I'm just reading further.
The point is, if you let something come to the point where it doesn't really exist as a fence anymore, don't they need to either take it down or repair it?
I mean, I think the ordinance enforcement officer would be able to handle that.
So a complaint would need to be filed,
Through
or,
Mr. Dunn, yeah.
yeah, or through the website and lodge a complaint, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any further comments? Mr. Hunwick?
None.
None? All right, that was one I had. As a general statement, I'm gonna suggest that, all planning commission members, please make sure you pick up your packages and visit these sites before rendering a decision or voting on an issue. I would appreciate if you all took serious that. We took an oath to uphold and to represent 20,000 plus citizens in this community. So let's make sure we do our due diligence. That's all I have. Public comments, item 8, none. Unfinished business, number 9, none. Item 10, new business, final site plan A. Before we get into this, I think there's an issue that we need to discuss before we go to the final site plan. And in the April, I don't have the date. Kelly, what's the date of the minutes?
April 28th.
Thank you.
20th, yep.
Oh, thanks. On the 4/28 meeting, we did a special land use with a condition of using pre-stained block over natural block painted, which was on the drawing.
That was
So-
item 3D.
Pardon me?
Item 3D.
Item 3D. Thank you, Jack. So on the plans that we have submitted in front of us tonight, they have a note on there that they want to go with painted block. And in your packet, they also have a letter from Oxford Group or Oxford Architectural, I think it is. I can pull it up in just a second, which gives an opinion on pre-stained block versus, call it natural block with a elastomeric paint on it, provides a better suitable solution. I'm not fond of architectural opinions, so I contacted the Masonry Institute of Michigan yesterday and tried to get an email from him, and he was out and couldn't get me an email. But his opinion is if the walls are on and let's be real specific, on an 8-inch CMU single width load-bearing masonry wall, if it is installed correctly per the Masonry Institute standards of reinforcing so many layers, so many which ways, based on height and load bearing, right? And used with a silicone treatment on the block, water repellent, and a silicone treatment within the mortar itself, there is not a better product on the market. Paint will deteriorate, it will flake, and that was our concern, and that's why, which requires maintenance. That is our concern. He even went further to describe to me that the initial outlay cost is almost exactly the same, whether you go with natural block and then you block fill and then you paint, or you go with pre-stained block and with a silicone preventative in it. Where it really pays dividends is the pre-stained block only needs to be cleaned every 10 years, 7 years, whereas paint needs to be stripped down to its finish and repainted every 7 to 10 years. So that's where the price advantage changes, but the outlay of cash initially is virtually the same. So you can form your own opinion from that information that I'm giving you, of what you'd want to do, because if we're going to go with the plan as presented this evening, it does not meet that criteria of the special land use. Brian, did I state that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So, Mr. Unwick, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm reading the letter from
Oxford Architectural?
Oxford Architect, and
Yep.
I'm a little confused by it. What is the problem with the pre-stain or pre-colored block?
What he's suggesting is that a dampness can occur and wick through the block and get to the interior, which causes interior paint to flake.
And he's saying that
Hold on, let me explain that. If that is the case, then a painted masonry wall is going to wick, and it's going to delaminate the paint, not only on the exterior, but on the interior. So, let me elaborate. Okay.
well, that was my question that I was going to ask, but he's saying that it won't absorb a sealer. Am I correct?
He's saying elastomeric, which is a block fill paint that seals all the joints, cracks, everything.
Won't adhere to a CMU, is what he's saying?
No, the elastomeric coating will with a paint on top of it, yes. It's made for that application, certainly.
With the unpainted block?
With unstained, pre-stained block, yes.
Pre-stained block, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But with a pre-stained block, you'd go with a clear silicone sealer to prevent moisture from penetrating. Sir,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
from a previous experience in the past, we took chemically enhanced block that was waterproofed. It was split face block. We laid it 4 courses high, and we filled them with water. And you have to use the chemically enhanced mortar to go with that.
Correct.
It held water for over 2 weeks. It never leaked out. So, I mean, if the job is done correctly, like you stated earlier,
Installed according to specifications?
then I see no problem with it.
Okay.
But when you say stained block, there is a block, a CMU that you can buy that's not faced, it's not a
Yes.
split face block,
Right,
it's just a
natural,
regular.
they call it natural CMU,
right.
standard CMU,
If you
lightweight.
stain that, if you only stain the block, that can have moisture wick through.
Yep.
So you have to be careful which one we're talking about here.
Yep.
So I guess for clarity, we'd have to let the petitioner address that issue and tell us which one for sure they're really talking about.
State your name and address for the record.
Commissioner, my name is Steve Whitty from Netterveld, here tonight representing DMK Development. Derek Marine from DMK is with me in attendance tonight. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your time and consideration regarding this request. At the last meeting, or when the decision was made, we did talk about the integral color block. At that time, both Derek and I indicated that we didn't think that would be a problem. The next day, Derek contacted our Oxford Architecture, who does the vast majority of the architecture work for Tractor Supply. And their response was, that is not a good idea. Bottom line, not idea. There's going to be moisture problems. I think their phrasing to Derek was, I would not want to own this building if it were integral color block. They wrote the letter that I think we submitted to you indicating their concerns with the moisture problem. They have indicated that there is not, contrary maybe to what, maybe you found somebody that did say it, but they said that there was not a manufacturer of the integral color block that will say that they're 100% waterproof. There's just not that product out there. Since that time, just yesterday, we actually talked to one of the main contractors for for Tractor Supply. They've done, I don't know how many different tractor supplies around the country. If you will, I'll hand you this email just for another opinion. This is from a contractor who does a lot of tractor supply work. And I'll read it for the rest of you. I suggested actually that Derek contact them just for another opinion on this. And Lee Thomas's email to Derek says, Derek, the design of Tractor Supply Company's building requires the use of both sides of a 8-inch CMU as a finish interior and exterior. Integral colored CMU, even when coated with an exterior sealer, will not provide 100% moisture-proof barrier for the interior finish CMU block. If integral colored CMU is used in the application required by TSC's design, the result will be continual moisture problems on the interior face of CMU, in other words, the interior finish, until an elastomeric or better coating is applied to waterproof the exterior. That being said, like you indicated, Mr. Chairman, the cost from DMK standpoint is the same. So it's not a cost-driven request tonight. It's actually a request of, we've been told by the architect, by the general contractor, that having the integral color block, there's going to be moisture problems. This general contractor, I won't say the business, but he indicated that another fast food chain used to use this type of technology, and they constantly had problems in the building. So our concern and Derek's concern as a developer is that we don't want water in the building. So cost-wise, it isn't really a factor here. It's, we want the best product, and what we've been told by Oxford Architecture, who's done all these architecture work, and the general contractor, is that the integral color block in this application and the way this is designed, it's going to be a problem. So that being said, we really appreciate your reconsideration of it. I'm not going to say it's a make or break deal, but it is a very major issue because we don't want water in the building. So that being said, I'm not a builder, so I can't really get into all the details. I don't think Derek can either, but I'm just kind of telling you what I've been told, so I appreciate it.
Okay, go ahead.
From my perspective, without having more details behind it, because everybody's making claims that moisture will go through this block, but not this block. There's a lot more data that's required to make that decision, and I think it's above what we're gonna be doing here from an engineering perspective.
Or planning.
How much water is required before it actually wicks through, what pressure, what temperatures, because those all play into a factor in regional, being up in Michigan, the color block may work, but being down south, it may not because humidity is a lot higher. So there's a lot of other factors that play into this
Yeah,
that we're not even discussing.
the one other point I'd like to make is that the claim in this, that you just read, that the integral colored CMU, even when coated with an exterior sealer, would not provide 100% moisture barrier. The counter to that from the Masonry Institute is that an elastomeric paint or better will also not constitute a 100% water barrier.
That is correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
Everything will wick eventually.
Everything will wick. So it's all in the maintenance and the aesthetics of the building. That's what we're dealing with, so just be cautious in your decision that, do we want to look at a faded, chipping, peeling building that we have no control over?
I guess if I may comment on that.
Yes.
Is it now the proper time to comment on
Sure.
that position?
Yeah.
I guess from my position, as a business owner, I would expect, and there's how many tractor supplies around the United States? 1,500. So from 1,500 buildings, if they're gonna have one that goes dilapidated, their business is gonna go down. So our issue would be if you guys vacate the facility and it says they're dilapidated is where I would be concerned.
Exactly.
Other than that, I think it would be up to Tractor Supply to make that decision, because if the building starts deteriorating, I can almost guarantee your business volume will go down.
All right. The issue before us is that the SLU has a condition on it that pre-stained CMU will be used. And what they're suggesting is, on their plans, is to deviate from that. So if we want to deviate from that, we need to make a motion to alter the special land use and allow the elastomeric finish in lieu of a pre-stain. And I would suggest, if that's going to be done, Mr. Curtis, you made the motion, and Ms. Rosner, you seconded the motion on the special land use, for clarity, on 428, item 3D.
Since I have no experience with this pre-stained, what do you call it, integrated block?
Integral pre-stained block.
Okay. Does it last forever, or say 20, 30 years as the color it started out to, or do you have to power wash the outside every so often, or to maintain?
It collects some dirt because it's a porous material, irregular shaped on the face, and yes, it does collect dirt, and you need to power wash it or clean it every 7 to 10 years if you like. But does it fade? I would say it has to, I would suppose. But there's buildings in the area that I built 30 years ago, I could show you that you can't tell that the color faded, not like you would on paint or siding or shingles.
So
or-
you've got experience with this stuff going on?
I wouldn't have been doing this research if I didn't have
Okay.
experience in it.
So are you asking them to make the?
Keep talking.
So,
The idea here is to minimize the maintenance of the,
the idea is so that we don't have a dilapidated building with
Right.
paint peeling on the back side of it when we had some control over those issues during the special land use. With normal site plan, we wouldn't have any control over that issue.
right, but their perspective, they want to minimize the maintenance both in and out.
They don't want any water
Right, I
wicking
understand
in
that.
their building and providing an issue, according to their experts.
Is there a face brick that can be put on top of that?
Oh, well, yeah, then you're getting into a double width wall, which they don't have designed for, and that's a whole nother water. Then you don't even have to worry about what you're doing, right? Then you can do whatever you want.
Doesn't meet the architect.
When I made my decision, I made it based on the overall use of the building, what it was doing. That wasn't really a critical factor in mine. I would leave that up to the applicant for that decision. That's how I feel it wasn't. I do feel they will maintain it. I've seen TSC stores. I know they're kept up. I know we have lots of buildings in Oxford that are built, far less well. So I'm comfortable with what they presented.
But the alternative is a non-integral with paint on both sides, inside out,
Correct.
correct?
And that's what, I don't know, I've done probably 20 Tractor Supplies across the state, and DMK has done probably about that same number over the years. And quite frankly, every place is different. This is the first time that integral color block has come up. All the other places have.
That's why I
But
didn't.
it kind of caught us by surprise last month, or 2 months ago. Otherwise, we'd have said, well, time out, there's an issue here. I wasn't aware that there was.
Mr. Curtis?
Well, the issue is we're trying to prevent.
Understood, yep.
Okay, the second issue I have is, I ask, and I don't know if we really know this or not, what is Meyer?
Meyer is, I believe that is painted block.
It is.
But maintained properly, it works.
I have as long as it's maintained, I have no
no
issue.
problem.
I'm concerned about what we're getting into, because, has anybody been to the Lapeer store?
I've been to all of them.
Okay, been around the back side of it?
Yep, all the time.
You ever seen any peeling paint on the back side of that masonry building?
Hasn't bothered me.
Okay, I notice it, I don't like it. I don't want the residents having to look at it that live on the other side of the property.
I had pictures of all of those buildings, and I changed phones and downloaded them. I don't have
My opinion is that the reason we put this kind of in there is because we absolutely had control at this special land use to put these kind of items in where we normally wouldn't in a site plan. So either we make a motion to remove that, or we go on to the final site plan portion of the meeting.
I'll make a motion to amend the special land use approval from April 28th, 2016 to strike item 3D, period. All of the other conditions stated in the original SLU approval, special land use approval of April 28th, 2016 still apply.
I'll support.
It's been moved by Mr. Curtis and supported by Ms. Rosner. Is there any discussion of the motion?
Just for clarity, 3D is the specification of the brick.
Yes.
Thank you.
3D is, we could read it from the,
I don't-
you want me to read it from the minutes?
Pre-stained block CMU with color mortar.
Just for the record, that's all.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Special land use roll call vote, or, I don't remember.
You can do roll call.
I think it is a roll call vote for special land use. Secretary, would you please, not Kelly,
Yeah, it's me.
Mr. Hunwick?
All right, so, Mr. Bell,
No, I gotta go, I'm last.
you're your last? Oh,
Yep.
Mr. Berger,
No.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes.
Mr. Hunwick? No. Mr. Rosner?
Yes.
Mr. Spiz?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Bell?
No. Carries 4-3, so that it is stricken from the special land use. Okay, let's move on to the final site plan. Planning commissioners, I'm going to caution you about one other issue. In our packets, we are missing the photometric grid in our packages only. Mr. Ottman received it in his package. He's reviewed it. He's good with the photometric grid. The only issue that he had about site lighting, I'll let him read about that. But just so you know, the photometric grid plan is not in your packet. So therefore, the motion needs to contain probably that drawing number, Brian, that you have.
It's in your letter, right?
I don't have the sheet number, but we.
There
can
were
get it
enough
real
sheets on lighting, I'll tell you.
There was enough sheets on lighting, and it was a little work to do, and you probably have a copy of it,
I
but for
do.
some reason, it is not in our packet.
Okay.
I want
I
clarity.
apologize for that, but it's.
No, I don't think it's your fault.
Oh, okay, 'cause I thought I submitted everything.
You did,
Yeah.
you submitted it, because Brian obviously has it.
Okay,
We don't have it, and I'm not sure where the breakdown was,
Okay.
but we do not have it. So therefore, I have to say that
sure, yep.
so that we reference it and it gets into our motion.
Yep.
Okay? All right, so why don't you go ahead and start, and then we'll get to consultants.
Certainly, Commissioners, once again, my name is Steve Whitty. I'll keep this very brief because you just saw this a month ago. Quite frankly, I haven't made many changes. The only changes I've made to the plan as a result of the Planning Commission meeting and then staff comments. Maybe the biggest change since the last time you saw it is I changed the landscaping. If you remember, that was one of the key things that we talked about at the last meeting. But the building is still the 21,930 square foot size. The access is still off of right in, right out only off of North Lapeer Road. And then we're utilizing the Burning Oaks drive entrance. We've got an easement for that. There is some outdoor displays, primarily to the north of the building, which was approved at the prior meeting. We have reviewed all staff comments. Nothing really concerns us there, so we'll make the I consider minor changes that Mr. Sharp and Mr. Ottman had asked for. As far as, I think the only maybe question mark, so to speak, on my mind is I know Brian had indicated the light fixture height. On our plan, we show them 25 feet tall. My understanding is if the fixture is within 200 feet of the residential district, it needs to be limited to 20 feet in general. The closest light pole to the residential district is actually on the north side. And I actually scaled it off, and it's just a hair over 200 feet, but it's kind of right at the borderline. So that's maybe one outstanding item that we should discuss for sure. But then other than that, I think we've covered everything, but if you have any questions on a layout or anything else, I'd be more than happy to answer that. And once again, really appreciate your time.
Okay.
If you want me to, I can repeat all the other stuff, but I figured in the interest of time, I'll keep it at that.
No,
So-
I think that's fine. I think there's plenty of information, and let's just go through the consultant's letter, and you can address these one at a time if you like.
Sure.
With the consultants, and then we'll move on from there. So, let me collapse this so it gets a little bit bigger. Whoops, too big. Okay. So, Mr. Ottman, I have your review up.
Steve really covered basically the gist of my report. Obviously, the landscape plan, we did check that against the special land use motion, and that's been updated and meets the requirements of the motion that was made on April 28th. In regard to the light poles, they are 25 feet tall, as he said. The Planning Commission has the ability to deviate and allow up to 30 feet in commercial districts. So provided they're not within 200 feet to a residential district. I don't see this as an issue. I'm okay with that request, but the Planning Commission should make that decision.
Brian, before you go any further, for a point of clarity for the Planning Commission, I already know this, but the photometric grid that we are missing,
Yes.
because of the additional 5 feet of height, there is no light pollution on any
That was my
adjacent site, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the photometric plan meets our ordinance. Actually, the light levels are very low, generally speaking.
At the perimeters?
Well, at the perimeter, there's none. But even in the parking lot and around the building itself, I mean, they're using LED fixtures, so that generally keeps the foot candle measurement low anyway. So, generally speaking, the photometric plan meets all the ordinance requirements. So, they did submit a sign package. They'll just have to submit that to the building department when the time comes, but their sign package, they're just proposing one wall sign on the front of the building and a ground sign, both meet the ordinance requirements. And I think that's the extent of our comments.
Okay. I would assume that you probably have no rebuttal to that since it was pretty clean, right?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Berger, you had
Is
in
it
regards
time,
to this?
yes, is it time to ask questions from us?
Well, if
or do you
it's
wanna
in
wait?
regards to Mr. Ottman's letter, if it's not, let me get the,
Only due to the fact that, and Brian, I couldn't tell if there was wall lighting on the building.
There are wall
Yes.
pack units, yes.
Okay, I looked for that earlier and I couldn't find it. So is there wall lighting on the west side, do you know?
I don't know specifically.
you have the photometric there? West is the back of the building. Probably by your receiving area and your grade doors.
By the receiving area, so actually, there's three. There's one in the corner here,
Would they be on continuously through the night?
dawn till dusk.
It's in your,
I'm sorry, the building lights,
I looked,
they
it's in
shine
your
down,
package.
they are on,
They're all-
all the time, like the building, for security, but it's very minimal, the LED.
The wall packs
I've
are-
had several problems with wall lighting where it affects residential neighborhoods when they're on the second floor of their house and it creates like night lighting for their homes. And I just want to make sure we don't have that.
Yeah, to give you an idea, that there's the three lights there where my pen is, so basically right at the edge of the pavement.
I can't see it.
That right there is where the light ends.
Okay,
So it doesn't light.
so it doesn't even go
at all.
past the I guess,
edge of payment. Edge of
I don't know
payment.
if it's a retention or a detention. I haven't figured that out yet.
Retention,
Well, it looks like a retention, but
yeah.
yeah,
If you include the
Okay.
trees too.
it
that
was
can-
to me. I have that question later.
All right, anything else on Mr. Ottman's, and we'll move on to Brian's? Excuse me,
Mr. Sharp.
Mr. Sharp, as soon as I can figure out this stupid Adobe crap.
Again, we are recommending approval of the final site plan there. Again, as Steve mentioned, just maybe some cleanup items as they go through the engineering portion of the project. Was curious if the lot split has occurred yet, or is that still pending? MDOT, they've already got a preliminary approval from MDOT for the approach. The grading, the preliminary grading plan that was submitted looks good. There are no public sewers, sanitary sewers proposed for this. They did revise the lead in lieu of coming on the south side of the building, which was at one point almost coming out of the ground. They revised the sanitary lead to come out the east side of the building, out the front, and so they have more cover over the pipe, and we find that acceptable. They are proposing to run a public water line to the rear of the property for a fire hydrant and for a future connection to the property to the south, which will eventually be looped back, so we find that acceptable. The stormwater, again, there was information supplied from the soil borers, and the soils out there are very conducive to a retention pond. So we have a couple of minor comments in there, but again, the capacity and the percolation is going to accommodate the site.
Can I stop you right there for a second? Because in your review letter, I had the same confusion as Mr. Berger.
Mhm.
If you look at your line number 14 under storm, the proposed calculations meet the township standard for detention pond sizing, and I thought this was a retention.
It is
pond.
retention, that's an incorrect statement in my letter, it is retention.
Okay.
So.
So it does meet the standards of the township for retention? Thank you.
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
All right.
Yep.
That means the load calcs too.
They're provided in your packet if you didn't see it.
No, I read it.
They've talked about the cross-access easements with the property to the north. They are showing the 8-foot wide safety path. And I would let the applicant elaborate a little bit on the easement for the property to the south, or what will be once it's split off, the Kalea piece, and maybe they can enlighten the planning commission regarding that portion. But really, that's it, just some very minor issues to clean up as we move forward, but we are recommending approval of the final site plan.
Okay. Any rebuttal or comments to that?
The only comment, I guess, is on the sidewalk easement, and Derek can elaborate on this more, but we have provided easement documents and descriptions for both the sidewalk on TSE's property as well as the remainder piece. On the remainder piece, we did give that to the seller to review, and hopefully he will sign it. I don't know if Derek has more of an update for you on that, but we have done the paperwork and sent that on to them for their approval.
Yeah, we provided it to his broker. And
Okay.
we actually went as far as having Steve provide, or make the exhibit to the.
Draw it up for us?
Yes,
Yeah, just to help you guys along.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
hopefully he signs it.
And the lot split has not occurred yet.
Correct. I think we've submitted the paperwork, but it hasn't been finalized or officially approved yet,
And
is
then
my understanding.
one of the comments was about the easement, because you're showing the storm sewer like right on the property, where the property line will be.
Yeah, we've, actually in the purchase agreement and the way the easement documents are written for the shared use, our attorney at least believes it's already covered. And then
Okay.
the attorneys are talking to each other just to make sure that we're covered. And
Okay.
that everybody's aware of what's going on.
Right.
So not only is it a cross easement, but it's a utility easement as
Yep.
well.
Correct.
Understood. Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Berger?
I just want to make sure I got clarification, just from, it'll probably have to come from Jim. So, it said in the infiltration rate of the soil, it was 18.75 inches in an hour, but the way they did their study on it, from the report I read.
Correct.
And so, what happens in the future when sediment and things slow that infiltration rate down? I mean, it's going to be a retention basin, so it has to be properly maintained.
There'll still be a maintenance agreement that's associated with it.
There would be, or there
Yeah.
is one?
There will be a maintenance agreement that will be required, just
Okay.
like we do with any of our detention ponds, retention
Because
ponds.
there is no outlet, there's no overflow outlet anywhere in that basin, is there?
Retains the water?
If it were to exceed the
Storm?
retention requirements, it would actually spill over onto the golf course property.
On the
That-
golf course side only?
Correct.
Okay.
The outlet is on the golf course side, but
Okay.
that's in a Noah's Ark type situation, I believe, so.
I got another question. On page 1 of your letter, it stated the use of perforated pipes beneath the pavement, and you discourage that in your comment?
Correct.
So on items 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, how would you, how do we resolve that? In your mind, in your opinion, you discouraged it, and that's what's proposed by the petitioner, so how are we?
I discourage it, but I can't deny it because it's not written that way in the township standard.
It's not written in a standard, okay, so that's my question. They could put that proposal together
They can.
and it would be acceptable.
And they would meet
Okay.
their construction buy-off with that type of pipe?
Correct. We just don't, I mean, the soils are very good out there. It may not be an issue, but we just don't, in general, we do not like to see perforated pipe under the pavement because you're trying to get the water away from there. So it's just not a desirable condition, but in review of the township's design standards, there is nothing that strictly prohibits the use of perforated pipe.
And what's the cover that goes on top of that? Height-wise? How much cover is on that pipe beneath the,
It's, I think it's very similar
by the
to,
slope, right?
yeah, but I mean, as far as the cover, I mean, it's very similar to what our standard would be. There's probably 3-4 feet of cover on top of those things. If that's what, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are not, it's not a pipe right below the surface,
30.
you know? So you shouldn't get into a freeze situation where that water's gonna freeze there in the wintertime.
Okay.
It should be deep enough below the frost line that the percolation should still continue.
Okay.
If I could maybe speak to that a little bit further, I've been doing site plans for about 20 years now. I've probably done 800 to 1,000 of them. We always, when you've got, for sure, heavier material, but then also granular material, we always specify perforated pipe underneath pavement because if in a heavier material or heavier soil, it'll actually let the water in. And then in the sandy soil, it'll let the water out. It's 3 to 4 feet of cover in general. The only places that I've run into a concern over perforated pipe is actually Oakland County. I did one in Lyon Township where Lyon Township didn't like it. And then we convinced them, yeah, that's acceptable. And then now here in Oxford Township. But I just want to let you know that I've done many of these and they've worked fine. So just as an FYI.
Did you know Mr. Sharp moonlights in Lyon Township?
Yeah, does he?
No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say, didn't run into him there, so. But I think it's actually an Oakland County thing, because I've run into it 2 places and both of them are in Oakland County, so.
Okay, Ms. Roser?
A question on the access management. I like that there's multiple ways in. Is that going to be opened up to the south if that,
The long-range plan is hopefully that continues on
That's
to
great.
Gateway. There's no agreement or anything in place with I don't know if it's a bank or credit union further to the south, but the long-range plan is hopefully to connect that through.
okay, that's a great thing. And
It would be
I'd like-
Oxford.
I don't know why we couldn't control that at the next site plan when the development to the south comes in, right?
Right.
To make them put that in.
That's, I mean, having one on the other side with the Myers.
But that doesn't
great.
get them to Gateway Drive.
Right,
Yeah.
eventually.
You still have Oxford Bank between
Correct.
this part.
We have
to
the one
south.
that-
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because, the deceleration and stuff is so bad on 24 there that having one point of entrance at the major intersections is great. People can get off and go where they need to go.
Yep, that's our hope, so.
Okay. Let's see. What else did we have in the packet? Fire chief's letter.
Yeah, he's pretty,
Knox box, drive on the south, I think those were the same, the no parking, propane fill station must be located and installed per NFPA 58 and the International Fire Code.
Yep.
Okay. I think, sorry, was there another letter? There might have been.
that.
No, that was
That
the
was-
opinion on the barbed wire.
That was the barbed wire.
Yep.
Fencing.
Okay, planning commissioners, anything further? Mr. Hunwick.
Just a question, when Jim was stating that the retention pond wouldn't spill over unless it was a Noah's Ark situation.
Define that.
I know, you want definition?
No.
Because no, wait, hold on.
No,
No, it's very easy. Mr. Sharp, please give definition of the requirement that the retention pond meets first. 10-year back-to-back? 100-year back?
100 year.
100 year. Noah's Ark would consist of something exceeding 2 back-to-back 100-year storms.
Exceeding 2 back-to-back 100-year storm events.
One further clarification on that, if I may. The tested infiltration rate, to figure out how much volume we would need, we actually halved that amount. So we didn't use the 18.75, we used the 9.8, whatever.
To calc it out.
To calculate out, and then it's back-to-back 100-year storm.
Right,
So
right.
There is quite a bit of safety built into
Okay,
it
For the
so,
overspill?
right.
for the overspill.
So
And once it's
we
done,
haven't had that event in about 4,000 years, so 2 back-to-back 100 years ought to be
Another
enough.
interesting thing,
I was leading up to but I won't ask my question now.
If I could bore you with maybe a little detail too, the last meeting, I got here a little bit early and I went out to the site and met some of the neighbors who actually ended up showing up. Just to the south of this property, there's actually where the bank and that whole road
Yes.
drains, there's a holding area right there.
Yep.
And without me even saying, they pointed out and they said, yeah, see that basin there? And I was like, yeah, and they said, it's unbelievable, water will come gushing in there and it's gone. And it never fills up, so that actually gave me some relief too, saying, oh yeah,
That's
Gone.
Goddard School.
so.
Okay. Any other comments by the planning commission members?
Comments on this site?
Well, yeah, we're wide open to
Okay,
anything
I
because
have a
I know you're
couple
ready to roll.
Well, no, I just have some questions. You have a fencing diagram that I noticed in there, and it said heights of 3, 3.5, 4, 5, and 6 feet. And it has like the arrows on top of that fencing?
The
I call them
ornamental
arrows. What do
fencing?
you guys call them? Pointed
Pikes.
devices?
It's a pike, it's a pike.
A pike, thank you, a pike.
This
They
one
look-
here, probably is what you're.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And then there's another detail on it, it's a little larger.
Those are the dumpster enclosure.
No, that's
the ornamental fencing in the front.
that's the ornamental stuff. And I don't want kids to be on top of that kind of fencing. What is the height of that fencing?
It's 8 feet tall, and then the spikes part is.
It only said 6 feet on the plan, so that's why it threw me off.
Do we allow it?
So,
Oh,
it stopped at 6.
That's just the diagram from the company.
That's a
that we got,
generic
but
thing?
Yeah,
It's 8 feet tall all the way
They,
around.
they,
DSC
they
requires
indicate
that.
on the drawing that it's
Yeah.
8 foot all the way around.
So I'm just questioning.
Yeah.
People have tried to lift, material over the 6 foot in a number of places, so that's why I got.
I'm
put
just,
to 8.
I want to question it, because at 8 foot,
Yeah.
then I don't have a problem.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's going to be 8 feet.
Correct.
The parking lot standard that the township has, and the asphalt, the bituminous part of it, you're asking for a different standard than what we require, is that correct, Jim?
Yes, I believe it was.
And so, and what's the reason for that? I guess I need some clarification.
The reason on that is, we had our geotechnical report from Soils and Structures. They look at the subbase, what is being built on.
The
And-
Giffords-Webster report?
No, the Soils and Structures.
Soils and Structure, okay,
The
I read
person
that
who did
letter.
our soil borings, and they determine, footing sizes and everything else. They designed a pavement cross-section that they felt would work, quite frankly, better than what the township's standard is. So then we had posed that as an alternative to Mr. Sharp to review and for the township to review, because we would prefer to use what the geotech guy is saying is a better product.
So what thickness would it be then? I want to make clear, because there was a couple different,
It's right down here.
I read it.
For standard duty, it would be 3.5 inches of pavement over 8 inches of gravel, and then over 12 inches of sand class 2. And then for the heavy duty, it would be 4 inches of pavement over 10 inches of gravel, and then 12 inches of sand.
So what are we getting? Both those?
Just what I said, the standard duty is like where the parking
Okay,
is,
yeah.
and the heavy duty is where the trucks would go.
Okay, just wanted clarification.
Yep.
Is that, in your opinion, Jim, are we good there?
They're equal. I mean, it's less asphalt, but it's thicker base. So depending on how you want to look at that.
So the binder that's underneath it's good enough that sits on top of the
Yeah,
sand?
we made some accommodations on some other sites too, where the asphalt's a little bit thinner than the township requirement, but then the base material is thicker. So it might be like for this one right here.
Is that the 21
Our
double
township
A?
standard is like 4 on 6, and they're proposing 3.5 on 8. So it's a little less.
Cross-section is a little more, but a
little less
more base.
asphalt, a little more stone.
So in improving this concept, we're varying this a little bit from the township standard.
Well, I guess so that I would see that more as an engineering, maybe not
Well, make
maybe
sure
not a
I'm
site
okay
plan
with it.
issue. I think that would be more of an
I've seen,
engineering related issue.
soft soil sometimes underneath give way to some pretty heavy vehicles. I just want to make sure.
Right.
Jim, will you clarify the sub-base, please? On the base that they're adding underneath the asphalt, what is it? Did you specify?
They are proposing for their regular, let's call it the parking lot area.
Yep.
3.5 inches of asphalt with 8 inches of MDOT 21A. Okay?
21A to what?
21A. It doesn't say limestone.
So
It
mix.
says 21A material. And then they have a heavy-duty section, which is on the south side of the building where the trucks and the garbage truck would access. And they're proposing 4 inches of asphalt on 10 inches of 22A. Oh, sorry, the first one was 22A as well, wasn't it?
22A or 21 double A.
21 double, right.
Yeah, that's what I thought, 21.
And you just use crushed gravel, you don't use limestone?
Correct is correct.
Why not limestone? Cost.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, it's a better product.
Yeah.
It's like concrete, right?
Yeah.
When it
Okay.
packs.
And when it packs.
Good.
Okay,
Okay, so we are asking for a slightly different standard, but it's an opinion that says it's probably of equivalence by the base that's underneath.
That's correct.
Okay. I don't have any other questions at this time.
The question on the fence is 8 foot, we're waiving the 6 foot requirement then? Because that would be a waiver by us, wouldn't it?
didn't we do that under special land use?
Did we?
Yes.
I didn't remember that part.
Anything else?
I do have one thing.
Yep.
I noticed by the shipping and receiving area, there's a transformer box.
Yes.
I'm assuming you're gonna have poles around that protect it since that's by the shipping area and so somebody doesn't run into that?
That is a very good idea, but it's not shown on the plan, so I will add it.
Isn't that a DTE requirement?
Utility companies, they always say,
Yeah, because they make you put all that
yeah, they're.
right stuff in, right?
Yep.
I mean, the pad's gotta be with a certain dimension and the counter and the grounding and
Yep.
bollards and all
Make
that,
sure
right?
we add it to the plan.
I'm sure MDOT's gonna make you do
Yeah.
it, but, okay.
Just for clarity, I'll
And
add.
we're talking about this right here, right?
Correct. Yep.
All right? Anybody else? Look for a motion.
It's coming.
We do have 5 others that can make motions, you know, we don't have to just wait for Mr. Curtis.
He's so good at
Yeah,
it.
Go ahead.
He was radioactive.
He gets mad when other people.
No.
No, he does not.
You did not.
He does
make the last
not.
one.
He
You
just
seconded
prepares
the
it.
last one. I have it on record.
Yes.
I just wrote it.
I move that the planning commission grants final site plan approval for Tractor Supply, a portion of parcel number 04-22-151-006, Zone C2 General Commercial, applicant DMK Development, Oxford, Michigan LLC, 4927 East Stariha Drive, Suite B, Norton Shores, Michigan, 49441. This approval is based on the following conditions. Number 1, planning commissioners did not receive a copy of the photometric plan while the planner did. Number 2, any unresolved issues related to the township planner's review letter dated June 1st, 2016. Number 3, any unresolved issues related to the township engineer's review letter dated May 26, 2016. Number 4, any unresolved issues related to the fire department's review letter dated May 25, 2016. Number 5, a waiver of the landscape requirement for the south green belt. Number 6, PC approval of the 25-foot light poles. And number 7, protection of the DTE transformer at the rear of the building.
Support.
Been moved by Mr. Curtis, supported by Mr. Spiz. Is there any discussion of the motion? It's a pretty lengthy one. Nice job, Jack.
Is there supposed to be anything there conditioning the lot split?
Should be done before that.
That's up to them.
They gotta get it done.
He quoted it as a portion of the parcel. That's the way I heard it.
Yep.
That's correct.
A portion of parcel.
Yeah, that's fine with me. If they can't establish getting it, then something else happens.
They can't do it.
It's
They would
invalid.
have to amend their plan.
Right, they have to amend their plan.
Or buy the whole part.
Well, I'm not,
And still amend their plan.
that's not our problem tonight.
Right. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. No further discussion? All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Got
Thank
you
you very
final.
much.
Good luck. Item 11, communications and violations report. Any comments?
None today.
I have one. It's communication, correct?
Yes.
Not exactly sure what
Okay.
I communicate, but earlier tonight, something came up and I've just kind of wondered how we can approach it in the future. It seems as if a developer came in, he had his plan, boom, boom, boom. We got pretty steadfast on what we required for the future of buildings being erected in the township. And sort of an expectation of what we would like to see as a township, but yet there's no ordinance to build to. So we're really kind of subject everybody that walks into town to
Personal things.
our personal opinion, right? If we collectively, as a commission, think we should be planning this community in one way, and that the community buildings reflect that view, then maybe we should have design standards or an ordinance or some sort of control from the township to do that. Where, by doing that, we're not subjecting people to, well, you constructed it out of brick block and we really don't like that, sorry about that, Currently, we allow it, and we try to work through what we did today. I personally kind of agree, painted surfaces on both sides, really, I've seen that as well. For me, it doesn't really work out that great. But I think we should have some sort of, if we're gonna request it, we should have some sort of method of control to control it. I don't really know what I'm getting at.
I know what you're
Do
getting.
you know what I'm
let me-
getting at?
Yeah, I do,
quickly?
and I know what you're.
It's a design standard. for
Yeah,
the town.
well, it's actually it would be called architectural review. And the planning commission has no authority on architectural review whatsoever on any,
Building?
normal site plan and what kind of building they put up. Whether they're gonna put up, barn siding or, stucco or brick veneer or rock or vinyl siding, we don't control that.
Well, that's
Well,
just,
but
this
what
is
we-
the second time I've heard it though. With
Okay.
the condos,
Yep.
with the apartments, and it just seems like
Well,
it's coming back.
there are instances when we can implore some, and that's when we do special land uses. What's the other condition? There's one other.
Plan unit developments.
PUDs, yes, under PUDs. And that's where we enter into a contract, so we have some control there.
Okay.
Otherwise, typically, if a commercial guy wanted to build, let's just, for instance, on this other half of this piece, they wanted to put a Taco Bell in, and they wanted to paint it purple and make it, out of cardboard siding, we really don't have any control over that.
Unless those two other conditions apply.
Yes. Right?
There's some control in building materials.
In our ordinance?
Well, in design standard, just for, you can't use for commercial buildings.
Oh, well, under, yes, I was trying to go to an extreme, but yes. Oh, if you go to Michigan Building Code, yeah, obviously, but I'm referencing what we can control within the planning commission. We can't really dictate, what's outside what we can govern, other than a couple instances. Brian, am I
That's correct.
okay.
But if it's stated in the ordinance, then
Show me where it's in the
I'm
ordinance.
just
Don't
saying,
we have
if.
specifications for certain things for brick and certain things in the ordinance?
Now, when you,
I know you
well,
do.
sometimes we get, plans in for, site condos where there's, the bylaws indicate that there's 50% brick fronts and vinyl siding and things like that, but that's totally up to the developer. That is not really a reviewable item by us. We can't dictate what they do in their bylaws. We can guide them. There can be public influence on them, but we can't dictate to them. Is that correct, Brian?
That is correct.
Okay.
But the township, if they wanted to initiate an ordinance that says all block buildings will be constructed of this pre-stained block,
Well, I think you would be getting outside the bounds of what's applicable to a planning commission, and you'd be sued by any developer coming in here.
Well, we have
Brian?
design standards for
Well-
materials and colors. I mean, I'm looking at
There-
where we specify things.
The way that this is
In
normally.
67A?
High-quality materials, but not limited to brick, stone, integrity, tinted textured concrete masonry units. I mean, we do have some,
That's so vague that I could build it out of synthetic brick veneer that's made out of rubber. As long as it's a high-tech material, like you stated, I'm gonna call it high-tech, and I can put it up,
high quality.
or high quality.
Yeah.
I'm the only person in the world that thinks it's high quality, but I stated it, put it on my plans, therefore I can put it in. Right? Wrong?
Well, most applications of design standards are put in place, such as Orion Township or Independence Township. They're through overlay districts, which basically puts every site plan into a PUD type scenario with loosely framed architectural control. And really, it's more along the lines of building siting on the property and where the parking should be. There are loose architectural standards, but very loose.
Well, I'll go as far as, I don't know how many planning commissioners have been here that long, but we used to have a CAD district where we had architectural control
Yep.
because we wanted the village look.
Mhm.
We got Myers to look like a village, nothing else. That worked wonderful for us, okay?
Yeah, and all the ice hits you in the head when you walk in the winter.
All right,
Well, it just, I was just a little, one vote, one way or the other tonight could have, put the whole thing kibosh on that developer coming in, which I think it's a good idea he comes in, really. But if we would have said no, then he might have pulled out as well,
well,
right?
he said it wasn't gonna make or break the deal.
he said it was a no-cost issue to him.
He said that earlier. It wasn't a deal breaker.
why it's not on the plan.
What's the point?
Well, because they had two solid opinions that are, their builder and their architect. The architect would not stand by it and would not take any liability over it. He said it clearly in his letter. And then the builder said, hey, it's, it's not 100%. Well, nothing's 100%. So, I mean, that's an easy argument to beat, but, so it's like, who's got their phone up by the speaker? Somebody does.
Is that for you?
I shut mine off.
All right.
All right, well, I guess I understand the two exceptions, and
Okay? All right,
from here out.
all right. Acreage lot split. Anything?
No,
Okay?
I actually believe there was a meeting, but I missed it. Someone
That
might
was a
want
while
to,
ago. That was a couple
but
meetings.
that was a couple meetings back and I missed it.
Yes, you did.
We haven't seen anything for this one either.
I'm sure you will soon.
I don't know that we have anything in front of us to look at yet.
Brian, anything coming?
Nothing at this point.
Okay, thank you. Economic Development Subcommittee?
Yeah, we brought up a couple things. We are watching the zoning administration to make sure that we're meeting the community's needs and the developers' needs in a timely manner. Supervisor Dunn indicated to me that a summer intern is working in the department to take the loads off Lori and the department with filing and stuff. They are monitoring the number of builds that are going on so that we don't hinder the developer with waiting for a week for a review. And I know that Brian has done, the zoning administrator has gone out and done work on Friday that was turned in on Wednesday, so we are moving towards remedying of that. We came up with two automation alley articles. One was the Celebrate Seymour, and I have to find the other one. I can't find it right now, but I gave that to our scribe, so we'll be getting an article in Automation Alley. If you do have any articles you feel or deem important, please provide them to us, and we'll make sure we get them in.
Is that it?
Yes.
Thanks. Gravel inspection, nothing. Ordinance Review Subcommittee.
Oh, man, I hate it, but I don't have anything to report. Sorry.
When are we gonna get going on this?
I was ready to just call a meeting and make them do it, so.
I'm ready.
Come on. I mean, we got some,
Brian has to be involved with me. So I'll have to talk to you tomorrow then.
We'll discuss it.
guys, we've punted on this long enough. We've got some issues that gotta get resolved. Let's get going on this, and especially, we've got the budget, we've got a master plan that we're working on. We've gotta make time to do this.
Okay.
And if you guys can't, I will find 3 other members that can, so in 2 weeks.
I'm just waiting to get notified.
I know, I'm hearing, in 2 weeks, or, no, maybe not 2 weeks, next meeting, I'm not sure we're having a meeting in 2 weeks. Brian, do you know if we are?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so in 2 weeks, I would like to have some form of status, either a meeting scheduled, a formalized, what we're gonna go through, something, okay?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Safety Path Committee,
Nothing to report.
Water Sewer,
Okay, we're gonna have another water sewer meeting Wednesday, June 15th, and at the request of some of the commissioners, we will be taping them. We have contacted them and indicated that they must be taped. Secondly, we've met with Crossroads, who is under the gun to get water to them, and we're working out specific details with, in fact, the chairman of the board came to our meeting. Jim met today with Lake Villa to inform them of our progress, and bids are forthcoming. Jim's got the drawings, and I guess I'd let him speak to what percent they're done and what we're trying to accomplish with bid.
Yeah, the drawings are, now that we've met with Lake Villa, and I'm trying to get with them for a few weeks, we'll be able to finalize those plans. They're probably 95% right now, so we're hoping to have those done in a couple weeks and get everything out for bids and permits at that point.
construction still planned to finish before winter?
Yeah, I mean, we're really hoping to get it done during the school, while school is out. We'll have to see how things fall there. So we'll have to go to the township board and figure out the funding for all of this. so don't know where that will take us. But we're certainly hoping to get it done while school is out, but if it goes into the fall time, we'll work with the schools and make sure that we coordinate things there. But yeah, still trying to get it done this year.
You got any projected estimates on what it might cost?
We're over a couple million dollars now. I think the last one was 2.3, is that what we were at, Jack?
2.3 estimate?
2.2.
I indicated that through finger signs, but yeah,
2.3.
it's roughly 2.3 million.
Can you pay for that with, the water fund,
We're looking at all avenues. We already have approval to borrow $1 million from the sewer fund, which is grossly inflated, and we have a water fund balance that is conducive to loaning the money. We just have to get it approved through the township.
got it? Okay. Anything else?
Nothing
Okay.
further, no.
Zoning Board of Appeals?
Yeah, we have a meeting on Monday for the
Hubbard Spring?
Hubbard Spring and also the 26-unit site condo. The question on the minutes, because I don't think we have official minutes yet, do we, from that meeting?
Which meeting? Hubbard Spring?
Yeah, from both of
We
them.
just approved them, tonight,
Yeah.
and we approved,
April 14th? I thought that was May.
We just approved May
yes,
14th. I said April.
hold on, what's the minutes I signed tonight?
April 14th is what's on the agenda.
I don't think that's a correct statement.
Should have been May.
Should have been May.
Oh, because that was a typo.
Yeah.
Heck.
No one caught that. You're all under demotion.
Okay, so Hubbard Spring was not on the April 28th meeting, it should have been the May 14th meeting.
Yeah. But
And that is what we approved tonight.
I was home for that, and I was at the meeting.
So what was read into the record, though?
Well, actually, April was read into the record.
Yeah, it said it.
I read
Needs to
it
be corrected.
as April. It should be corrected to May.
Well, that's a good catch, we need to revisit that right now.
Yeah, that's what threw me, because I heard that. And
Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
You did?
Yes.
So will you amend your motion to make it?
I
May
amend
14th?
my motion to approve the regular planning commission meeting minutes for May 14th, 2016.
I re-support.
You re-support? Is there any discussion of the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Now it's official.
Now you have your official minutes.
I'm good.
Good catch. Anything else from zoning board of appeals? You got two items. You got Hubbard Spring and
I
what?
said Hubbard Spring and the 26-unit site condo,
Oh,
Where's the,
Oakland Woods.
North.
oh,
Oakland.
the gravel, yeah.
The gravel.
Yeah, and on the length of road. That's right.
cul-de-sac.
Pete Farm.
Grandpa's farm.
I'm sorry, Village Planning, you are,
I'm
we
not
don't
done.
need to do that.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
already
not done. I got about an hour's worth of talk.
All right, Mr. Ottman,
Just to give you a master plan update, we are, you want to continue your village update?
Am I not before him?
you already gave it a
I
long
gave
time
you
ago.
only half. I said I got 20 more items.
You're done.
I have,
Mr. Ottman,
98 Glassby has been sold
Again?
again to Clearview Homes. Clearview Homes is now coming in there with 14 units.
is that the old spearing tool? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right.
It hasn't been
Purchase
sold.
agreement, not.
Purchase agreement has been signed. The purchase, they have agreed to sell and have signed it, and it's for 14 units, not 19.
Is that it?
Yes,
Those were your 14 other items?
I was just messing with somebody.
Okay, Mr. Ottman, master plan update.
Yeah, I just want to give you an update of where we're at. The intent to plan letters were turned over to Deanna Cushing to send out to the neighboring communities. I haven't seen that yet in my working in other communities. So I don't know if they've been sent, but they're supposed to be sent. That's the first item of business with the master plan, but we are working on an update to the background studies that I want to bring to the planning commission in July, hopefully early July. And we're going to post the survey in the Michigan Community Remarks webpage. We're going to launch that in the next few weeks on the township website, and I want to get with CJ to get publicity out on that when it does occur. One thing that we have to do is pick a date to have an open house or a workshop. And I'm looking at a calendar and I'm looking at like August 11th to do that. It's a planning commission night, so hopefully you're all available to actually come. You know, and we can have different stations set up, and we'll have a computer so people can, you know, go into the mapping, you know, website and mark comments there.
We can put the boards up along, all that kind of stuff?
August 11th. August 11th.
August 11th. And what time would you want to run this from?
We'd probably do it maybe 6
Six-
o'clock to, yeah, we'd do
Nine,
like an
6 to
earlier.
9 or
Yeah, something like that.
Why don't we have anything out at any of our community festivals coming up?
What's that meeting?
We've got Lone Ranger Festival, we've got Seymour Lake,
What's that meeting called?
a table with information, like where to go. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a man thing, but if we set up something that said, you know, future your township, this is what it here's where to look, and some cards or something people can pick up with the website,
Yeah,
you know.
I'll talk to Supervisor Dunn about maybe putting something here in Township Hall, and I'll speak with Ron Davis to see if there's something we can do that he can also advertise. So, maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like a table, because people are walking down, we have all the things set up. It wouldn't take much to set up a table to let people know as they're walking by, they can actually see it.
We provide you with the gizmachis. Will you set it up, to volunteer to set it up and take it down?
I'll do it, I'm there
Okay.
anyway.
All right. We got a volunteer to set it up and take it down. Just provide her the gizmachis to do it.
Got it.
That's a gizmachi? That's a technical word for all the things that it's required to.
For a charrette?
Right. It's in CJ's vocabulary.
For a
He knows what
charrette?
gizmachi is. The table, the covering, the paperweight, the papers, all that gizmachi stuff. All right. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it right now.
All right. Mr. Sharp?
Was that like a Noah's Ark event? Is that a physical term?
That kind of threw a couple planning commissioners for a loop, so I had to go back to my book of Exodus there. And
Just a couple of updates, real,
Genesis, buddy.
was it Genesis?
Genesis.
Is that where the flood happened, in Genesis?
Yeah.
I thought it was Exodus. All right, go ahead.
beginning, the end, I don't know. Just a couple of updates. We had a pre-construction meeting for the Hills of Oxford. They're out there doing some pavement removals and so forth right now, and they're going to be beginning the underground utilities on Tuesday
For the,
next week for the south phase
yeah,
out there for the final phase.
it looks like it turned out to be a pretty good development. I see a lot sold in there and a lot,
is.
you know, it looks nice.
Must be, yeah, the price point and
Right,
the-
right
what-
price
what
point.
people want, I guess. And then, the Burton Castman development, the design engineer finally at least got the water and sewer stuff correct. So we will be able to approve those plans and forward that on to the county and the state for the necessary water and sanitary sewer permits.
Okay.
For that. That's all.
How do they, on that development, how are sewer and water tap fees, when they put in massive, infrastructure like that? How do the tap fees get calculated to tie into the system? Nothing now until they actually build a unit or an apartment or a condo, and that's where you hit them with the
Correct. When they
10 grand?
they put in all their infrastructure, you know.
That's
they-
free. They don't, to tie into the system and put that infrastructure
They
is
do,
free.
they do all the infrastructure work, and then,
But there's
What-
no fee associated to Oxford Township for the right to tie into that system, a tap fee.
correct.
Only if they build a unit. and
Then once they,
Building
then
permit.
once they actually pull the building permit, that's
Yep.
when the building department collects the tap fee, just like a
I got it.
residential home.
Okay, just checking. Wasn't sure of that myself. Okay.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, that's all.
All right, Mr. Curtis, you got a mulligan.
Okay, thanks. Last night, the Township Board did approve the moving of $262,500 to the Parks and Rec Department to construct Phase 1 of the three-stage project, which is the maintenance shed, so they can get all of the materials moved over there, and that's Phase 1 in order to complete the community center, which is Phase 3.
What's phase 2?
Well, Phase 2 is part of the community center, but it's more of the offices to move
Parks and
part
Rec
of the-
out there?
Yeah, Parks and Rec out there plus part of the community center. Phase 3 is the final community center, right?
So does that help offset some dollars because they're moving their offices out of there so they don't have to pay rent to the village anymore?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. You done with your mulligan? We're gonna call it quits at 8:16. Meeting adjourned.